Hi guys, I'd like to welcome you guys all back to Read with Melanin. So I've been gone. So like what had happened was I did like a big batch recording thing in the beginning of June. That memory card is no longer with us. And then at the end of June, when I was ready to record, I caught COVID. And not like a mild case of it, like it took me out for a couple weeks. And then like the recovery to get back, like as you can hear, it's still stuff going on and it's been a month. So I'm here to talk about the books that I read in June and the books that I read in July. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but just know we've got a little bit of videos, okay? So let's get started. So in the month of June, I read 8 fantastic books, and the first book that I want to talk about is Pilar, Ramirez, and the Escape from Zafa. Again, y'all know I've been telling y'all like, I wish that we had these kind of adventure books and stuff when I was a middle grade reader, because I don't know, it's something about still having the same kind of adventures that I did read, but like they're not all white boys doing the adventures, you know what I'm saying? So Pilar Ramirez is about this young girl named Pilar, obviously. She is transported to I'm gonna basically say she was transported to like a Jumanji-esque feeling kind of place where she ends up becoming a part of a war, essentially, and she's trying to figure out, this all started with her trying to figure out what happened to her mom's sister, either sister or cousin. And I really enjoyed this book. It's got a little bit of Dominican folklore in it, which I found quite enjoyable. Again, it was for middle grade, so I always reset my expectations when I'm reading a book, but I feel like if I was middle grade, I would have loved this book. I don't know if this is the beginning of a series or if this is a standalone, but if it is a standalone, I was very happy with it. In fact, like I do plan on looking up the author and seeing what other books that they've written, because I really enjoyed the book. I loved Pilar as a character. I felt like she was like an appropriate teenager. She was irrational, a little quick-witted. She was in her emotions a lot, but also she was fierce and she was just unwavering. She had an unwavering courage, and I really enjoyed her as a character. And then the supporting characters throughout the book, I thought it was creative. It gave me good visuals in my brain, so I feel like that's like an A+ book for me, where I could really visually see the story, but also didn't feel like the story was lagging at all. I felt like it was a quick read, so if that's something that you like, then that's a good book. So let me just preface this with, I know that there are a lot of people that really love this book and are probably going to like be feeling a type of way when I say this, but I felt like this was a disappointment read for me. It did not give what it said that it was going to give, and that is blood, Scion. I know, again, do not shoot me. This book to me was presented as a book where a soldier is infiltrating the army to seek revenge for her family. And instead it read at, and also like people kept saying that the character was morally gray. Morally gray needs to be better defined, because I didn't find this character morally gray. I found this character traumatized and trying to survive. Like this, like there was so much trauma in this book, and the trauma hits you like square in the face almost in the beginning. And then I felt like there were multiple cases hold on. Like I was saying, I felt like there were multiple extreme traumatic moments in this book where it was like, how does this move the story? I don't know. I was left I have lots of thoughts about this book. Like I've written them down, but it's like, I'm just gonna say it. I was not impressed with this book. In fact, I felt like the climax or like the oh snap came way too late. There is an unnecessary romance again in this book that I didn't understand the purpose. Time span wise, I think it's only like a month time span wise. So like everything that happened in that month was just like, what in the world? Like I started thinking about it, and then like I was very confused because I wasn't quite sure of the age of the love interest, which made it really creepy for me through multiple parts. I also felt like the character herself, she was traumatized. There was no soldier going in with this specific intent to like destroy. No, I did not feel secret spy. I did not feel any of that. I just felt like traumatized children being forced into war. That's what this book gave me. So wasn't the biggest fan of this book. I did buddy read this book, and the person I buddy read this book with also agrees with me. We had some very interesting conversations during our read, and then after our read when we had time to think about it. Having time to think about it did not make me like the book even more. So I know people are going to disagree with me, but I'm going to just tell the truth. I did not enjoy this book. Now, moving on to a book that I very much enjoyed, and I'm still sad I have to wait till 2023 for the second book. That is Son of the Storm. This was the Black Prose Club Q2 pick, the pick that I made, and it did not disappoint. This is an adult fantasy. This is exactly what I needed when I said I wanted adult fantasy. Like, this hits the bar for me. This story is about a young man named Danso who comes across like a big secret that will basically like unravel the world that he lives in. There's political intrigue, there's fantastic anti-villains and villains in the story. I felt like each character in this story, like I will say that there's Danzo and then there is his betrothed. I felt like both of these two characters had some development that made me very happy. It does kind of read high fantasy, which I also really, really liked. Again, I cannot wait for the second book. This was a cliffhanger. Like, this took me for a major ride. The only reason that there are not tabs in this is because I could not find, my copy was at my friend's house. And so I had to get the library book because she lives on the other side of Houston. And if you've ever lived in Houston, you know that's not a quick drive. So the second time that I read this, because I do plan on reading it again before the second book comes out, I will go back and like re-annotate everything that I want to annotate. But I also really enjoyed the fact that there is a magic system, but I don't know if the author intentionally did this, but I felt like learning about the magic system as the characters were showing the magic was actually a far better thing than what normal high fantasy level books do, where, you know, there is a big portion of the beginning of this book where it is info dump heavy, which one lets me know that it's a series, and then two, like, it's very indicative of fantasy books where they're creating their own worlds. This is like a fantastical African inspired world. So all of the characters are Black. So when phrases like yellow skin are used, they're not used in like a racist term towards Asian people. They're used for like albino people in the story who are still Black. So keep that in mind when you read this. Like, this is an all Black book. There are no other race of characters than Black. They are from different parts of the world, but they are all Black. Please keep that in mind when you read this book. Another book that I read is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is a series that is still connected to the Caraval series, but it's like different characters. It's like, it's a book that happens after finale. And it focuses on a girl named Evangeline who makes a deal with Jack, the Prince of Hearts, the same person that was in Legendary and Finale. And it kind of goes from there. So I found myself bored in a couple spots in this book. I found myself bored. And the reason I was bored. I didn't feel like anything was going on. I felt like there was a lot of dead space that was filled with stuff that I did not feel like moved the story at all. I do like Jack as a character, so that is actually what made me pick up this book, because in Legendary and Finale, I really liked him as a character. Like, he's kind of a douchebag. Kind of love that about him. But I actually wasn't mad at the direction that this went. I'm saving all of my thoughts for depending on the second book. So I do plan on continuing the series. I I don't know. It's like I'm gonna read it and decide to like yes or no. But the fact that I need the second book to tell me that is also telling me like where we're going in this direction, if that also makes sense, you know? But I didn't hate it. It's just, I don't know if it'll stay on my shelf at the end of the year though. I'll say that. Another book that I actually enjoyed is The Marvelers by Danielle Clayton. So this is Danielle Clayton's middle grade book, and it is a magical world where there are like there are different magical people. So our main character, what is her name? I haven't read this book since last month. So Ella Duran is a conjurer, and I just want to I could literally go on and on about why I love the conjurer people, which I assume are all black. I'm not even gonna front. Like, I assume that most of them are black. They have not only like magic, but they also have like this family thing that just feels really good. I love the fact that they have familiars, and like Ella is the first of her family to go to what is called the Arcanum Training Institute, a magic school in the clouds where marvelers from around the world practice their cultural arts, like brewing Indian spice elixirs and bartering with pesky Irish pixies. Basically, Ella discovers a situation. How do I put this? I like the fact that we are diving into the idea of magical schools. Obviously, because of how crazy Harry Potter was to our generation and in a world as a whole in terms of like magical schools, I can obviously pick out correlations between that and this, but I want to look at this as its own. I have so many questions about the Marvelers. Yes, I know they're at school and like we're learning like they're learning, but I want to know so much more about the magic system in this book. I feel like I got like such a small piece of it that it was like, I want more. I felt, I loved her parents. I loved her aunt. Hold on, my sisters are FaceTiming me. So I forgot what I was saying because my sister threw off my thought, but I can't wait for the second book. I hope that we get a better explanation of the magic system. Like, I know that they're called Marvelers. I know that they have marvels, and like their marvels pull from like their culture and like their own personal magic. That part I do understand, but I want to know like how this plays, because they treat the conjurers, because the conjurers are exactly what you think. Like, they're amazing. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, they're basically, conjurers have a bad rep, but I don't quite understand why. But also, like, I think Danielle Clayton did a really good job, because I'm obviously going to continue this. I have it marked, as you can see, because when I finally like finish planner stuff, I want to sit down and make merch for the Marvelers. So yeah, if anybody like knows Danielle Clayton, like for real, like tell her I want to be a part of the next book launch. Somebody tell her. I think this is a great idea. Highly recommend this book. I really enjoyed it. So if you guys remember my last book thing, I talked about my obsession with the Tea Dragon Society, and let me point something out. When you get the paperback, this is the size. Hardcover is this size. So I'm currently looking for the Tea Dragon Society in hardcover, and I'm just gonna give this away to somebody and like bless their life, because I think this series is so freaking adorable. I'm totally obsessed with Katie O'Neill and Katie O'Neill's drawing style. I think it's so delicate and pretty, but also I think the stories are really cute. So I did finish the whole Tea Dragon Society series. Loved it. I don't think I can talk about it enough. Like, graphic novels, I realize is like violence is always the answer, but there was something really calming about reading this series. But like I said, if anybody knows the Tea Dragon, where I can get the Tea Dragon Society hardcover, please let me know, because I ordered the hardcover of the last two, but the first one I cannot find anywhere. So if somebody can help me out, that would be freaking great, because I hate when they don't match. I had no idea that it was gonna be this size. I would have never bought it. Not even front. I would have never bought it. Yeah. So I read another book. It's MagnifiqueNoir Book 1, I Am Magical by Brianna Lewis. I've already read this one, but I realized I never read the second one, so I reread this so that I could like refresh my memory. And as usual, I like Brianna Lawrence. I really hope that she continues giving us Magnifique Noir books. I hope that she continues to write, because I will always continue to support. But yeah, this one has been in my life for a little bit. Like, I even had to tape the binding because it's been a little roughed. But yeah, like, I plan on giving this to my friend when she comes to visit this week, to let her know that she needs to read it. She's got to check it out from Black Eden. But yeah. Oh, for those who don't know, this book is about, as you imply, magical girls who save the world, but also like them living their lives. They are college students, so there's that type of thing. I love it. It's girl power, it's queer, it's just girls being girls, if that makes sense. But like, every one of the girls are vastly different, and I love it. Like, obviously my favorite is Cosmic Green, but also I have a very soft spot for Galactic Purple, because purple and baking. And that's all I will say if you've never read it, but I highly recommend it. I think it's really cute. So that was all the books that I read in June. So let's go straight into July, because this is already almost at 20 minutes of recording. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books in July. Obviously, most of them were during when I couldn't do anything else, but so let's just go back. I think we're gonna start with this one. So I finished the series from These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I read Our Violent Ends, and let me rephrase. I did not enjoy it as much as I liked These Violent Delights. I kind of felt like we just repeated the story a little bit. I do like how Chloe pulled all of it together. I still got my Romeo and Juliet vibes, which sometimes you kind of forget that it is like a Romeo and Juliet retelling type thing. So that was really nice. Like, I actually really liked that tie, the way that she put everything together. I do like the little bit of mystery she left me. I'm like, okay, I'm digging that. But as far as that, like, I can't even really remember everything that happened in this book, because I read this book at the beginning of July while I was laid in my bed. So I don't even remember everything that happened, and I don't know what that exactly says, but I will let you interpret that on your own. So another book, I read 2 Cedar McGuire books this month. I read Come Tumbling Down and Across the Green Grass Fields. So Come Tumbling Down is another book focusing on Jack and Jill. There are 2 books that have Jack and Jill in them. So I do recommend going and reading some of the other Cedar McGuire books for the Wayward children. I recommend going back and reading the ones that have Jack and Jill in them, the ones where they're at the school. I think so. Read the first book, and I'll try to put a picture here of the other book that has Jack and Jill in it. I do recommend that you read those 2 first before you read this one, because this one is a continuation based off of those 2 books, which in a way I like. I like that Cedar McGuire's Wayward Children series, where some of them you can read as standalones, and then some of them they're having like continuations of their stories. So I do like that a lot. This one is focusing basically on the finale of the idea of Jack and Jill. Hence the Jack and Jill Come Tumbling Down. Like, it's them coming to a crossroads. They are twin girls, and they are very polar opposite in many, many ways, but in more of a fantastical way than you can imagine. And it comes down to even kids at the school coming back in and like coming together to help and like fix the situation. That's all I can really tell you without giving you spoilers if you've not read the other 2 books. But I did actually really enjoy Come Tumbling Down. Quick read, very quick read. Super quick. I think it took me like 2 hours maybe to get through this book. It's like 100 pages. But Across the Green Grass Fields, you don't need to read any of the other books for this one, because this one is almost like a standalone. I don't know if Sina McGuire plans on doing anything else with this character, but it focuses on an intersex character, which I thought was, well, I think this is the first book that I've read with an intersex character. I think that might be. This particular person ends up in a world where there are centaurs and all things horse related, so like kelpies and all of that stuff. And she ends up in this world, and she's obviously a part of a prophecy, and it comes down to her having to either fulfill the prophecy or like die, essentially. This one didn't hit for me. It didn't hit for me because I felt like it took a really long time to get to the point of her. And then I also felt like there were no real stakes in the story. Like, yes, technically there were, but I didn't feel like there was a sense of urgency. I didn't feel like there was a sense of dread. I felt like if they had never decided to change, I didn't really feel like anything bad was gonna happen, and I don't know if that was the intention or not. It didn't deter me from the series. Like, I plan on reading more of those, more Wayward children's series stuff anyway, but I felt like it was a little bit weaker than the other books in the series, but I still enjoyed it, if that makes sense. Probably, who knows. So I also listened to the sequel of The Merciless Ones by Namina Forna. That is the sequel. Ooh, hold on. That is the sequel to The Gilded Ones. And I might have liked this one more than I liked The Gilded Ones for one reason. One, I love a good plot twist, but I love a good, how do I say this without spoiling anything? I love a good WTF, I guess is the best way to put it. So we're still continuing with our main character. Our main character has obviously been given some things from the first book, and we're going through, and do I feel like this book... Wait, is this I don't know. Is this a second book or a third book? I don't know. But right now, I'm kind of lost on the ending. I forgot what happened in the end. This is not an indication of like if the book is good or bad. I just went brain dead, that's all. Shoot. We're probably gonna pause here and like have editing Brittany come over and like say some opinions, because when I tell you, brain dead. Ooh. Editing Brittany here. So basically, what I was trying to remember to say here, I really liked the ending of this book. And I also realized that this is the second book in a series, so there is another book coming. And that explains why there were some spots where I just felt like it was info dump heavy. Not really in a way that moved the story, but a way that was just to take up space. There were introduction to a lot of new characters and a lot of new relationships that weren't in the first book. So it was just, at some point I kind of got bored, but then the book managed to bring it around town with the last book and was left a little happy. I was happily shook. So I just wanted to say that. So I look forward to the third one. The next book I read was Theo Tan and the Fox Spirit, and I really enjoyed this book. This focuses on a young man in a futuristic San Francisco named Theo Tan. His older brother dies in a car accident, and it has left him feeling completely lost, completely like just failing, don't even really know what to do. And as he is a Chinese American in this magic system, he is given a familiar, and it turns out that he is given the same familiar that was his older brother's familiar, the Fox Spirit. And they go on an adventure trying to figure out if the car accident was an accident or not. And let me say, one, I enjoy magic systems that keep the culture of, that add culture to their magic systems. I have realized after the Marvelers and this one and a couple other books and the Jumbies, I really enjoy magic systems that are tied to the culture of the people in the story. I think it adds like a richness to the story. It adds something that just magic cannot have, and there is like a richness and like there's like a loving type of thing attached to it, and I really enjoyed that. I haven't read a lot of Chinese mythology, but this is a reminder for me to start finding some fantasy books with Chinese mythology in it, because again, loved it. So I don't know where my camera stopped. Crap. But I will say, so I received this arc from Penguin Teen and I read it the same day that I got it. It is The Neverlanders by Tom Taylor and illustrated by John Samarvivan. I'm sorry, I must have pronounced that name wrong. This is a graphic novel starring the cutest characters. It stars Bee and her fellow runaways as they meet Paco, who turns out to be the last lost boy of Neverland, and they end up being thrusted into Neverland in the middle of a war between them and pirates, and it all comes down to their magical finessing or whatever. I look forward to getting the final copy of this book because I really like the illustrations, and I know that in color they're gonna look even better. But here are my final thoughts on the book since my camera wanted to be a hater. I really liked this book. I thought it was really good. I love the art style in this book. I love the way that he drew mermaids. So again, if you really want to see what I'm talking about, I highly recommend it. I thought it was a great story. I like the characters. I like that I could easily distinguish between the characters' ethnicities even without seeing color. I think that that's really important. Again, I don't find a lot of graphic novels and stuff where we are drawn in a way that is not a caricature and in a way where like we still look good. So again, I'm really happy with this. I think you should check it out. It comes out this month, so it's called The Neverlanders. Check it out. I read A Bad Fat Black Girl, Notes from a Trap Feminist, and my life is forever changed, and I am forever grateful. If you've never read this book and you are a black girl, you don't even gotta be fat, bro. There's something empowering about reading these kind of books. Like, I feel validated. It made me feel refreshed when I was really feeling down. Like, there's inspiration in this book. Like, I'm not queer, but the way that she talks about her sexuality, the way that she talks about her relationships, I felt like even I could take from that and benefit from it. I am not in a mood where I want to date. I am dating myself. And even from that idea, like, I need to treat myself even better because between her and Beyonce, like, I really feel this sense of like wanting to love myself and treat myself like the A1 day one, because category bad bitch is a mood that I'm just trying to embody. And I find it ironic that I read this book like a week before Beyonce came out with this fantastic album that I have been replaying over and over and over again. And so I haven't read a lot of feminism books because, like I said, I don't feel like the conventional feminism is for black women. So womenism, hood feminism, trap feminism, like, these are the kind of things that I really identify with, and I would have never assumed that I identify with trap feminism until I read this book. And I'm so glad that she coined that phrase, and I'm so glad that she decided to share it with us, because it gave me a place of belonging in the women's movement, because I've never felt like I belonged in the women's movement for obvious reasons. Susan B. Anthony did not like us, care for us, and only used us to get what she wanted. I said what I said. Argue with your mama. So as the lighting implies, we have been recording for a very long time. So this is where I'm going to leave it. What books did you guys read lately that you have enjoyed? My mid-year book review time is coming. I've decided that I will be doing it as you can see, my bullet journal or my reading planner, because I'm gonna make a spread for it. So keep a lookout for that. Thank you guys for always being patient. If you've come back to my videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification button. And until the next video, guys, bye.